What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you guys joining us for another episode of Veteran Influence. Another great interview here today. And as always, we have a great guest next to us. This time we have a senior master sergeant from the Air Force. Her name is Jessica Baldwin. And quick little things about her. She was born in Modesto, California, but also lived a little bit closer towards Washington, Spokane. Joined in 2002, July. And as of right now, you are stationed in Joint Base San Antonio. Am I saying that right? Joint Base San Antonio. I'm sure I'm going to butcher a lot of these terms going on, but I'm going to try not to. And one thing I actually just learned is I didn't know that the Air Force, you guys call it recruit training or boot training, or what do you guys call it? Boot camp?
Boot camp, yeah.
Boot camp.
Training.
Okay, so and you guys actually host that in Lackland Air Force Base, Texas?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, Senior Master Chief Jessica Baldwin.
Hey, thank you for having me. I am super appreciative of the opportunity to talk with you and kind of tell my story and get word out about some of the stuff that I've done, their opportunities and whatnot. So where do you want to start?
No, absolutely. Well, first thing I want to do, I want to give a big shout out to Stephanie Lay. And now, is she in the zone to get promoted as well? Because she's a master sergeant right now, right?
She is. Yeah, she is out at Seymour Johnson in North Carolina right now.
Okay.
She is a master sergeant. She is up for promotion next month, actually. We'll find out beginning of March. Fingers crossed that her name's on that list so she can pick up senior master sergeant as well.
That's what I'm talking about.
Girl's doing big things out there. She's doing big things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember when I first got a hold of her, just speaking to her, I was just like, man, I definitely got a good person to come on the show. She had a lot of great information to spread about not only her career, but also the Air Force as well. Man, it was amazing. And the special thing about that is, they say our community is small as veteran and active duty, and she referred you to me. So, and I asked her for, a high quality type person to be on here, and for her to refer you got a lot of shoes to fill, Miss Lady.
Well, hopefully I can. But no, she is such an amazing person and great senior NCO. One of my best friends. We worked together out at the Air Force Academy as military trainers out there.
Okay.
For the Air Force cadets. And she's a rock star. And for me to even be in the opportunity to be on her team or as her superintendent was just awesome. She is one of the most humble and kind and hardworking people I've ever met. So she's crushing it.
I love to hear that. I was talking to somebody the other day about, who are some people that inspired them that are active duty or that just make them want to do better. And they were kind of hesitant about saying people because it was, I don't know what it is, where it's easy for us to critique and, pick apart people. But for some reason, giving somebody their props, it's like we don't want to spoil them or something, which doesn't make sense to me. Give people their flowers while they're here. If people motivate you or they're doing something great, I'll shout everybody out. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons why I want to do this platform is to put great people on a platform so the world can see how great they are, as I do.
Right. World's best hype man. Dig it.
I'll take that title. It ain't senior master sergeant, but I'll take that title. But hey, let's get started. You know what I'm saying? Hey, just like I told you as far as format, I want to know what baby Jessica was like. You know what I'm saying? Growing up in Modesto, California. What was it like? Your siblings, your life as a 3, 4, 5-year-old, all that stuff.
Oh, goodness. So grew up with initially just me and my older brother and my mom for quite some time. And my stepdad came into the picture, which brought a little brother as well.
Nice.
And just a whole bunch of goodness. We lived in Modesto for a while and moved up to Washington State. My dad became a police officer. Worked out there for a while, and then we moved to Western Washington because he got picked up to be a police chief in the town that I grew up in. Let me tell you how hard it is to grow up in a 500 population town with a police chief as a dad. I'd sneeze and he'd call me to say, bless you. Like, you weren't getting away with nothing. Nothing.
Love it.
But, like, he's... I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at without having him as a role model. Dude worked his tail off for 20 plus years as a police officer. Got medically retired because he got injured on the job, but just crushing it at life also. All three of my brothers are also in the Air Force.
Okay.
My oldest is recently, well, I guess not recently, he retired a few years ago out of Spokane, the Air Force base out there. And he kind of set the tone for the rest of us to follow suit in joining the Air Force. He did great things and got to travel and do everything. So when it was my turn, it was, I could go to college and live that life and be broke, or I can go into the military and school would be free, and I would also get to travel and do all the things. So that's kind of the route that I took, which ended up getting me sent right back home from my first base. But I have traveled plenty since then. So baby Jessica was very quiet and reserved and green to the world. And then I came in the military, and it was like, there's a whole lot of culture out there that my 500 population town did not give me.
It's time to show out.
It got a little crazy there for a couple of years, but we honed it back in.
That's funny. So when you were younger, did you play any sports, or like what kind of hobbies did you have?
I did. I played softball.
Nice.
Did cheerleading. Once I got, like, I'm super accident prone, so once pretty accident prone. So like my senior year of high school, my dad's like, you already have this slot to go in the military. Do not screw it up by getting hurt and doing something silly. So the only thing I was allowed to do as a senior in high school was cheerleading, which was terrible because I can't tell you how many times I got dropped on the ground after being thrown.
What was that? Were you the one that got?
Yeah.
Oh man, that is hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, but great times. It builds character.
Oh, absolutely. You know what's crazy is like, and I totally agree with that, because in the Marine Corps, like if you get selected for officer, they kind of pull you out. Depending on what you're doing, they try to pull you away from anything that's going to potentially cause a reason for you not to be able to go to your training. So I totally understand that. But sometimes it seems that the more careful you try to be,
right,
is like the injuries just so happen to happen. Like you're going, so it doesn't, and you step on something, you're like, oh.
Yes. That's the story of my life, right?
Oh my goodness.
Good times.
The injuries are absolutely terrible. So, you spoke about a little bit about being reserved, like coming up. So what kind of, was it something to where you were like, yeah, the military is kind of something that fits my type of personality, or something that I know I may not like it now, but it's something that's going to benefit me later on down the line? And then also, like, you know how the recruiters have their little tags? Like, what were your tags? Like, was it education, travel?
No, for sure. So mine was, you're going to go sign up for the military. Like, you're going to do that. That's going to be a thing. Like, I'm driving you to the recruiter right now. This is going to be the thing that you're doing. I was like, okay.
You must have been bad growing up.
I wasn't bad at all. It was just like, you need to get out of your bubble and get out of your shell. And clearly that has worked.
Right.
It did take a little while. But yeah, I was pretty shy growing up, and but once I went to the recruiter, and he was like, I know that you want to go to college and these are your educational goals, but you can go to college while you're in the military, and you don't have all that student debt. You don't have loans. You don't you might pay for books. And I was like, okay. And then it came time to like picking your job. And that's where they got me. They were like, you know, the only thing that my dad said, he was like, you will not be a cop. And I was like, well, why? Like, you spent, you know, yes, honey, you can have that. Sorry.
No, that's life. I love that. I love to capture these type of things. He was like, I was a cop for so long. I don't want, yes, honey, yes. I don't want that for you. Right.
And I was like, cool. So I wanted to go medical. I tried to go medical, and of course there wasn't any slots. So they were like, you're going to have to go in open general. And not knowing anything, right? Like 18 and I wasn't even 18 when I joined. I was still, I think, 16 when I got into the JET program. And I was in the JET program for a year before I went. And he was like, there was like, we can't get you a job, which in retrospect, clearly terrible choices, but it ended up working out. It ended up still being in the medical career field, but it was crazy there for a while.
You know, I hear a lot of stories about parents. I actually put a post up a little while ago because I had somebody speak about how they joined at 17. And one of the questions, or one of the things that I put out there was, who all joined at 17? And then when somebody responded, I was like, you know, were you forced to do it? Was it like, did your parents have any issues behind it? You know, were there any, you know, what was the reasons for why, and what were the repercussions behind it? And a lot of people said that their parents just didn't know anything about that military type culture. Some people just didn't believe in the military, or whatever the reason was for it. But for you, like, and I've definitely had the whole, you know, you're going down there, you're going to talk to somebody. That's what my dad did. He's like, I don't care if you join. I don't care what branch you talk to. You're going to the recruiting office and you're talking to somebody. Boy, I ended up talking to everybody.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
I went down there to talk to the Navy first because, like, I didn't really know anything. I mean, I knew my dad was a Marine, and if I'm being honest, I was like, I didn't want to be too much like him because he was just rough. Yeah. And so I was like, all right, let me go to the Navy. And I went down there for an appointment, and they didn't show up. So I was like, all right. And as I'm leaving, I'm sure everybody has a story like this. As I'm leaving, the Marine recruiter's like, hey man, what are you doing here? Like, I'm waiting on the Navy. You know, I'm gonna wait for them to get back from chow or whatever. They're like, hey man, why don't you come talk to me real quick? You know, yeah. I ended up talking to them, and I kept like, I was so wishy-washy because like I already had it in the back of my head. I was like, I didn't want to be like my dad. I didn't want to be all like uptight all the time, and you know, no offense, Dad, but drinking all the time and all these other things. And I didn't want that stressed out type life. And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm probably not going to do this. And then they're like, hey, you know what? Why don't you just leave? You probably couldn't do it anyways. As soon as he said that, I was like, nah, I don't know who you're talking to right now. But like, you must be talking to somebody behind me or somebody else, because I know I can do this. So that's how they got me.
That's every Marine that I know. Like, oh, what?
Yeah.
And the switch is flipped, and you're like, okay, well now bet. I got you.
Let me show you.
Yeah.
Oh, but I love that though, you know, because now that I look at it, that's a great tactic to use on someone, kind of like the reverse psychology type thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And that kind of works to push people to their potential, you know, because you're looking at it like, I need you, I need you, I need you. And then when you're like, I don't need you, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you probably couldn't even do it. It's like, hold up. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So was the Air Force your first choice? And be honest.
Yes. So my uncles and my dad, they've all done between Navy and Army and Marines. There's all of that sprinkle in my family. And my dad was again like, you need to go Air Force. Like that's where you belong.
Why though? Be honest. Why did he have that mentality? Did he think it was easier? Did he think it was more relaxed?
I mean, every other branch thinks that we're a little bit softer, right?
Oh, no. Don't use other people's words. Come on. What is your thought process behind why you thought he said that?
We all bring a great set of skills to the table, right? We all
I like it.
a set of skills to the table.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. It's funny because me and that Sergeant Major yesterday were having that conversation, and I told him one thing that he was talking about that resonated to me was how he spoke about, he didn't speak down about the other branches, but he explained every branch as a breed of dog.
Yeah.
And not one time did he say, oh, this is some weak chihuahua that everybody steps on. No, he explained that breed of dog and their importance to the whole circle, as in the whole one team, one fight. And I'm glad that mentality is starting to go away a lot more. And I'm starting to see a lot of the branches starting to intermingle a lot more, where before I felt that we were kind of divided. And a lot of us were being told that, oh, that branch is nasty. Oh, that branch is nasty, you know? It's like, we're here to do the same job, you know?
For sure. I have deployed a few times with sister services where I'm working with Marines and Navy and Army. And there is not a bad thing that I could ever say about anybody in the other branches. Space Force, we're still out. Guardians of the Galaxy, we'll see how it goes. But I even have a bunch of friends in the Air Force that have recently switched over to Space Force. And, you know, if they're going to bring that kind of talent over to the Space Force, then we're in good hands there on that side too.
I'm going to be honest. I know we're getting off track a little bit, but I'm nervous to have Marines in space. Because we already act a fool here on Earth. Now you going to put us on the moon? You know what I'm saying? You going to put us... Oh, snap. That is too funny. That is too funny. But, okay, so you talked about, you know, your reasoning for joining. You spoke about why you decided to join the Air Force, and you didn't even talk to nobody else. You just said, I'm targeting Air Force.
So while I was in the delayed enlistment program, my recruiter was good friends with the Navy recruiter and Marine recruiter. Everybody kind of left the Army guy alone, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if he was a jerk. I don't know. Might have been just personalities. But every time I would go down there for, you know, because I'd have to go once a month to check in to make sure I hadn't done anything stupid.
Right.
That I was still interested. Whatever the case may be, we'd go to either lunch or dinner, depending on what day I went down. And it was all of us going. It was my recruiter, the Navy recruiter, the Marine recruiter, and we just shoot the shit for an hour or two. And, you know, even though I had already signed up for the Air Force, I was able to pick their brains about all of that stuff and all of the questions that I had already discussed with my recruiter. And honestly, I think it just kind of solidified that decision for me, with that this is what I wanted to do. Just because, you know, my goal was to be a medic. And, you know, corpsman in the Navy, from, you know, what he had told me, it didn't sound specific enough to what I wanted. It was way too broad spectrum. So the Air Force just seemed like a better fit for me.
So, you know, I talked about like when you joined it in July of 2002. At any point were you like, I'm ready to get out?
All of the time. Okay. When I was at basic training and you have them yelling in your face and they couldn't touch you, but like you'd still get the head pecks from the hat on your forehead, right? Like, and you know, I knew that they couldn't hit me but my recruiter, he's just always, or not recruiter, the drill instructor's always in your face, right? And my last name, which was Dwayne at the time, was his first name. So if he couldn't remember somebody's name,
come here, Dwayne.
I was right? Like I was cleaning up shit. I was not about that life.
Getting that work.
My mouth shut the whole time. And he's like, at one time he's like, you don't react when I'm yelling at you like everybody else does. And I was like, my dad is 6'4", 350 pounds and can hit me.
Yeah.
You can't. I'm solid, right? Like, we're good.
Yeah, what do you do? Get spit on me? You know what I'm saying?
Like, we'll be all right. You might peck my forehead a little bit with the brim of your hat, but that's about it.
That is funny. That is funny. So let's go. So we talked about already joining the military. So let's talk about your early life. What were your thoughts, you know, once you hit the fleet or as you're transitioning from basic training to the fleet and as like so it's airmen or how does it, is it airmen's E2, right?
I was slick sleeve. I had no strength. I had no rank. I was airman basic.
Airman basic. There you go. And then airman.
And then airman.
Airman, then airman first class.
Right. And then airman first class.
Got it.
Yeah.
So how did you fill out those junior ranks?
So I got to my first base in Northern California at Beale. And you know, you're living in the dorms and they, when you get to your first base as a brand new airman, they put you in a first term airman center, which is basically like a 3-week orientation to the base and anybody that's also arrived that are new airmen in the last like 2 or 3 weeks, right? So you have a network as soon as you get there. And it's people that arrived around the same time as you. So you're able to build, you know, your network a little bit at a time, and then you're in the dorms, and it's where all of the other airmen are living too, because you couldn't live off base until you were in E4 unless you were married.
Oh, so if you guys are in E4, you automatically get a chance to live off base?
Yeah, you as an E1. If you come in the military as an E1 and you're married, you can live off base.
Oh, okay, that's different. So ours was the same way. I mean, there's certain circumstances that may not have it do that, but for the most part, the same way. If you're married, you're gonna live off base. But so when I was coming up, E4s and E5s, corporals and sergeants, you had the option. You had to put in a request for BAH. But because what ended up happening was the barracks ended up being empty because nobody wanted to live on base. No. So they ended up denying E4, E5 were no longer able to put in a request for BAH and, you know, saving money and whatnot. So, but you guys are, no matter what.
There's a request, but if you were married, they weren't going to make you not have the option to go off base. Most of the people that rank were living on base in base housing. Okay. Just because it made more sense for them financially. Right. Or, you know, if that airman had any kind of history of financial hardship or mismanagement of their money, then their leadership would make them stay on base. But but for the most part, everybody was like, I'm out. And then once airmen found out that it was that easy, you had dorm marriages just so they could go and live off base. Like, when you get caught doing that, you get in trouble. But people were doing that all the time.
Golly.
Yeah,
So
craziness.
besides like the living, like as far as like, were you nervous? Did you feel out of place when you first joined, like as a junior, as an airman or just like a junior class, going to your job, checking into the fleet, and just always seeing these higher ranking people around you? Like, were you like intimidated, or how did that? How did
Of course. Of course. I mean, already being the shy person, and then when you're in basic training and your drill instructor is an E4 or an E5,
right?
like you start seeing those people when you're back out into the operational Air Force. And, you know, my sponsor to the base was an E4, and I was terrified of her. Looking back, like, what?
What was I scared for?
Right. And then I don't think that there is that level of intimidation anymore for airmen that are coming out of basic training. They definitely aren't looking at E4s and 5s with that same level of respect that I did when I came in, but their drill instructors are also E6s and 7s, where, you know, they don't have that first round of interaction with a senior airman or a staff sergeant until they get to their first base. You know, so
that makes sense.
Neither here nor there. You know, I guess it could be good or could be bad. But I was scared of everybody when I first got to my first base. I was like, I'm not trying to even just look wrong. I don't even want to look in the wrong direction of things. But had a great team, and it was nice also for me being at Beale. I had family just down the road, where if like the military got too much for me and I needed to have that escape, like after work I could go drive off base and go to their house or spend their, you know, my time on the weekends there. But after a while, like I didn't use that anymore, because, you know, I had built that network of friends in the dorms, and I don't think I saw my family very much at all those first couple of years, because I found my people, you know.
I love y'all.
When, you know, I don't know how much they do it too much in the dorms anymore, but every day after work, we were grilling and playing volleyball in the sand pits and
nice,
and all of the things. Like, we had all kinds of dorm parties all the time.
I don't want to incriminate myself about the parties part. You're not slick, but no, I'm just kidding. No, it was like I felt like when I lived in the barracks, it was like a tight niche. Just like when I was in C school, we lived in a squad bay, and, you know, just because it's an open area, you just get kind of tighter with everybody else. It's not like a door to separate you where you can just go sit out to yourself. You know, it kind of made you want to be a little bit more, you know, camaraderie-ish. Yes, that's a word.
Yeah.
No, that's good though, and I felt the same way. But, you know, so I've heard different opinions about whether they want people to check in from, you know, MCT or their A and C school, join the fleet and be all timid, or they want them to already be relaxed and, like, you know, ready to learn stuff. Which to me is it can be a double-edged sword. You know, you get that person that checks in that's super relaxed, and they don't understand like how things are. They don't understand about, you know, a lot of customs and courtesies, and about, you know, the respect that you're supposed to be showing certain billets and certain ranks, because they're comfortable already. And it's like people trying to be friends all the time, as opposed to drawing that line in the sand. So I get it. It makes them a little bit more open-minded, but there's a difference between being a civilian worker and being in the military. And you need military just as much as you need that worker.
Right, 100%.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's move along a little bit. You know, I'm assuming we're gonna go past the senior airman time, and let's go into the non-commissioned officer route. What was your transition like, going from a senior airman to an NCO?
It was fun. So I went to Korea. I was in Kunsan, Korea when
Nice.
right after I made staff.
Okay.
And it was the first time that they had given me subordinates to supervise. And I will tell you, I could not have had the two most opposite types of personalities when it came to the two airmen that I supervised, and then so much different than my personality as well. By this point, I was a lot more extroverted and loud, but I mean, there's just not a better word for it.
Yeah, for lack of better words.
And I had one airman that was, very shy and green and kept to herself and didn't, very introverted. And then I had this other troop that was so crazy all the time. Loved him to death, still talk to him all the time.
Out of control.
Just wild. And funny story, so he was a prior ammunitions troop.
Okay.
And got cross-trained into my career field without going to training. They sent him to me and said, here you go, make him medic. And I was like, what? Okay, this isn't cool. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
So the personalities of a medic and an ammo troop are wildly different.
Right.
Wildly different. Not bad. Love all my ammo guys, good times, but it's just different. So Aaron Prasad at the time, he's standing at the front counter and this chief master sergeant comes up and he goes, "What's up, dude?" That's what I did. I was like, I'm sorry. I think my heart just palpitated a little bit. What are you doing?
Did he know who that person was? Were they in uniform?
I mean, yeah, he was in uniform. And they knew each other from playing poker together or something outside of work, at the community center, not together, in.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't know.
The events that the base would put on, they would go and play poker together or whatever the case may be. He knew him outside of work.
Right.
But I didn't know that. Nobody else that was standing around knew that. So as soon as he was like, "What's up, dude?" and my jaw hit the ground, and once I got done picking that up, I calmed to the back and I'm like, what? What? And just wild. But having those two people as my first subordinates, it was insane. But set me up to kind of expect everything instead of not knowing what to expect, and start that growth of emotional intelligence and being able to kind of cater who you are as a supervisor to your troops.
Right. So just so we're all clear, for us in the Marine side, NCO starts as an E4. So, but for you, it starts as an E5, and our staff sergeant is E6, your staff sergeant is E5.
Yeah.
When does is there a transition between E3 and E4 for you guys, or is the first transition E4 to E5?
The first transition is E4 to E5. E4 is still just an airman. You're held a little bit more responsible because you have more experience, but you're not raiding on people. You're supervising. You might be the first one that gets in trouble, but that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, it's nice to see how the different branches actually, when their transition point is, what NCO means to them, and what the transition actually is. Like for us, I make it, see, sometimes due to fast promotions and like sometimes it goes in waves. Mm-hmm. Some people like to downplay what an E4 or a corporal is in the Marine side, but I hold what a corporal is to such a high standard because one, it meant so much to me when I picked up a corporal, and my my whole image of what a corporal was such a high thing that when I was coming up, if a corporal was walking by and you're walking by, you better get the hell out the way. There's no, oh, I'm going to do this. No, you better get small up against the wall.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And allow them to do their little path to walk through, and then you go after that. But that's how revered they were.
When you guys are going up for E4, is there a promotion board for that? Or is it an automatic, just as soon as you hit a certain time in service, you get to put it on?
So I just got back to the fleet a little while ago, so I don't know if it's the same how it was as far as time. I want to say before it was 9 months to a year from Lance Corporal to Corporal. But now they do actual board. We're actually in the middle of actually doing this new program in which how people get promoted called JPES. So it's still going to be new. The first one takes place in April. But before there was, you rated a score, but then they transitioned to doing quarterly boards. So you could rate the score, but if the board didn't feel like you were ready to be promoted, then you'd be non-rec for that quarter.
Right. That's so crazy.
Yeah, you still had to go through the board. You still had to accumulate the points. And also, the new system for us is they're taking away the time and grade, time and service points. So before, you were getting attaboy points just for showing up. Now, those points go away.
They took those points away from us a couple years ago, which I was super grateful for because that always hurt me. I was, promoting whenever I would go up to promote early, time and service and time and grade would crush me because I didn't have it compared to my peers. And I hated it. And then they finally took it away. Now we're talking about bringing it back again because, there is value in experience, right? Like some people just, aren't good test takers. And for us, you have to take a written test.
Right.
For E5 and 6. And now E7, 8, and 9 are just 100% board. There's no written test anymore. But not like the value that time and grade, time and service brings is important, absolutely. But being somebody that it's always negatively impacted, like sometimes it sucked. And to not get those points and then be blown out of the water on promotions by somebody that I personally didn't think deserved that stripe because I had worked with them and I knew what they were doing, but made promotion because they had all these points for time and grade, time and service.
Right.
So I see both sides of it. I don't know really how I feel about it coming back, but there's value in experience. So I'm going to just say that. Yeah. Yeah.
No, like even, so technically for our sergeants and above, so they get fitness reports. So you don't get points, but technically in order to fall in the zone, they base it off, two things they base it off is your time and grade and time and service. Like the date in which you picked up and the date in which you joined. And they kind of finagle depending on how many they need to be in zone. And, they create this zone to see if you're eligible for promotion. So technically they kind of use the whole time and grade, time and service, but not to give points, but more so to get it to be looked at.
Yeah. I mean, they do the same for us, right? Like I made senior I pinned on senior in February of 19. And I had to wait 2 promotion cycles before I could go up for chief. And then I just made chief in December of 2020.
Okay.
But I had 2 promotion cycles from when I made senior to when I was eligible for chief. So there is still time and grade and time and service allotted to it. There's just not a point value for it.
Right. That's fast. I'm gonna be honest. Going from E8 to E9 in less than 2 years, as far as when you get selected for it. No, I'm not taking anything away from you.
It blew my mind. It was, I've worked my ass off, but I definitely didn't expect to pick it up first time, especially against some of the peers that I have in my career field,
right?
Like that are jobbing. But I think that there was a lot of value in my last job and the stuff that I did there that clearly they're seeing something for me to be able to hopefully bring to this next rank and crush it, hopefully.
That's good to hear. I would say, and listen, I'm freestyling this, but I'm only going off of from what I have seen. All right. Typically for E8 to E9 that I've seen going from first sergeant to sergeant major, I've seen as much as 5 years. I've seen as low as 3 to 3.5 years.
Yeah.
I've never seen 2 years before. Now, I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I just personally don't see it.
Right.
For us, typically you get looked at for first. So for first, for us, first sergeant and master sergeant split at E8 level. Typically you get looked at first for first sergeant rather than you do for master sergeant. Master sergeant usually takes a little bit longer. But now it seems like the promotions are happening a lot faster. But every time they implement an actual promotion, like a different way of getting promoted, like I think the cycle changes a little bit. So now that we're coming up with this new JPES that we're doing for the junior Marines, we'll see how that actually happens as far as promotions go. So it is what it is. So, now here you are as a senior, not a senior airman in the rank, but as a senior person now in the Air Force. Mm-hmm. What changed as far as your mindset and maybe some of your actions that changed as far as how you viewed the Air Force and how you viewed your job, your life from like the junior staff level to where you're at now?
It's no longer about you, right? Like you're a gunny, when you're a junior NCO staff or E5 and 6, like you're working for you, right? You have troops, but you're working for you.
Right.
You have a different mindset, like to take care of them, blah, blah, blah. But when you go into those senior NCO ranks and you're hitting master and senior and chief, like it's no longer about you. You are taking care of everybody else all the time. And that is so important because, those airmen need to see that you give a shit about them, especially now. Our suicide rates are stupid high across the entire DOD, right? Like they need to see those senior NCOs out there taking care of them, jobbing next to them, not hidden away in their office, punching on the computer, out there, whether it's flipping burgers or flipping tires, you're standing out there next to them and you're working with them or talking to them, knowing what their kids' names are and their spouses' names and what their favorite football team is. And, knowing those little bits about them so that they know that you care about them. That one of my last bosses, he was the command chief for the entire wing, right? Like
nice.
We had 4,000 cadets that worked there, and we had 120 different training instructors, and then we had the civilians and all the people that worked on staff. Now, granted, he didn't know all 4,000 cadets, but you wouldn't know that he didn't know every single one of them personally whenever he interacted with them. But every single permanent party person, he knew their name, he knew their spouse's name, he knew their kids' names, he knew their backstory. Like, when you put that kind of effort into getting to know somebody, that makes you want to work harder for them. Like, this dude cares enough about me to be like, hey, how's your wife feeling? Is she better from her hospital visit? Blows your mind, because you're like, this dude who is in charge of 5,000 people remembers that my wife was sick last week. You know, like that kind of stuff, those little details. Or, hey, your daughter's birthday was last week. Did she enjoy her party? Or whatever the case may be. Like, for somebody to care that much, I know it's always made me want to work a little bit harder to not disappoint them.
Right.
Right? When they care enough to know the things about me, then I'm going to care enough that when they hear my name, there's not a distaste in their mouth. I want my name to precede me, right? And if I feel like I'm being taken care of, I'm going to make sure that you're taken care of. You know, so I think that is probably one of the best things that I've learned going from being a junior NCO to a senior NCO is that it's no longer about you. You figure out how to make it great for them. If morale is in the tank, you figure out why and you try and fix it. And that doesn't mean keggers in the quad, right? Like sometimes it means, you know, you just take a pause. If people are out there jobbing 12, 14, 16-hour days, why? Why are we killing our people like that? Do we need to take a pause and come back and reflect on, are we asking too much? Like, what things can we stop doing that our mission still gets done? We're not killing our people, and we're just doing extra. If we're just doing extra shit to do extra shit, like, why? So, I mean, I can't wait to get back out there and be working with a bunch of people. My job right now, I work by myself. I don't know what they call it in the Navy, in the Marines. Your detailer, the person that picks where you're going to get assigned next.
Yeah, your monitor.
I am that person for my career field right now. I control where everybody is PCSing to in my career field. So, like, some people love me and some people hate me.
Hey, do you know anything about hooking the Marines up or what? You got me? Oh, come on, Senior Master Jacob. What can you do for me?
I mean, we've had conversations before, but it's usually because I need to get my Air Force person with their Marine. So, and that's not easy. We don't have a whole lot of bases where we get to be together.
That's facts.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I can't wait to be back with a group of people. And I've been teleworking since last March. Like, I need people. I need to people.
It's hard. Like, my last duty station, I was I told you about when I worked at ASU. Yeah, I'm with other people, but I'm not with other people. I have there was a few Navy lieutenants. I worked with a captain, and I had a commander and a Navy captain as well. But it was more independent than anything. You worked with the students, and I had some, some prior enlisted Marines that were going through to go into the officer program. But it's different because you didn't really see them that often throughout the day. They did their school, and then I would see them every once in a while. But it's not like I was really working with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's crazy. So right now you've been in, what'd you say, 8? Is it 19 years this year? Will be 19, right?
Yep. This year in July, I'll be 19 years.
Be 19 years. Oh, what are your plans? Are you planning on doing 20? And how long can the Air Force stay in? Is it 30 like the Marine Corps?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can stay in 30. With this last promotion, I have to do at least 3 more, which will put me at 21 years.
Okay.
And honestly, I could stay in the Air Force for 30 years, no problem. I could easily do that.
Is that what you want to do?
Job security, all the things, right? Again, it's not about me anymore, right? Like are my kids going to want to keep moving every couple of years? You know, I have 2 little girls. One is fixing to turn 10 next week, and my youngest is 6.5. And, you know, my 10-year-old, this is her 6th base.
Right.
That she's been at, and my youngest has been at 5 now. And every single time we PCS, I miss my friends. And while it is 100% building their social capabilities and being able to go into a new place and talk and make friends and be resilient and be social and incredibly extroverted, it still hurts them every couple of years when we have to move and they have to go through all of that again. And if I stay till 30, my oldest will be out of the house and my youngest will be graduating high school. So is that something that I, want to do? Because as you grow in rank and responsibilities as an E9, like you're moving every couple of years. And are they going to want to do that? Probably not, especially when they start getting in middle school and high school and trying to plan for college or whatever they decide to do. So will I do 30 years? Maybe, but it's going to be dependent on if they are willing and want to do it too. So if they're like at 21 years, Mom, I'm out, I'm tired of moving, cool. Guess what? I can get a job on the outside just as easy. It's cool.
Okay. You know what? I like the fact that, like you said, it's no longer always about me. And all too often, just growing up, we always hear the whole suck it up, especially in the military. Oh, suck it up. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. But especially when you're a kid, it's hard to not truly miss your friends. But the way I looked at it, because, my dad was a Marine, so we moved all the time. The way I looked at it was, had I not moved, I would have never met these new group of people. And nowadays, with all these social media apps and everything, it's a lot easier to keep track of people than it was like when you and I were growing up.
Right.
If you didn't have their phone number, that's a wrap.
You gotta write letters.
Yep. Absolutely. So I hated at the time moving, but I became grateful that we moved because of the people that I ended up meeting, and I went to different spots. So it definitely sucks at the time, though. Like, don't get it twisted.
100%. And those are conversations that we have too. Like, how many 10-year-olds have friends that are in Guam and in Colorado and West Virginia and California and like you have friends all over the world that you can talk to on your iPad and FaceTime with all the time, so we have those conversations all the time too, because they've told me now, like, I'm tired of moving. And their dad is active duty also. Luckily, he's stationed here in San Antonio as well.
Oh, nice.
But there's going to be a point where we don't get to be stationed together anymore. Right. And then, then what does that look like? Is that too hard for them to be away from their dad for that long of a period of time? He just completed a year in Korea prior to coming out here in San Antonio. And that year was hard for them. And we've done countless deployments and stuff already, where we're gone from the kids for months at a time.
Right.
And, what does that look like going forward? This will be the last base that we're probably stationed together at, unless we apply for it to be stationed together again. But as a chief, and he's a senior master sergeant, the opportunities for us to be stationed together anymore are getting real small, super small.
Right.
And then if he ends up making chief this year too, like, then it gets next to impossible.
Right.
So, and, you know, at that point, do I start looking at retirement so I can make sure that my kids are not too far from their dad? You know?
You know what? Real quick, let me give you a big round of applause for that. and let me tell you why. Because there's a lot of parents, like, I know I didn't ask you. I was trying to figure out if you guys were split or if you guys were still together, but it sounded like you were saying split.
Yeah, we're divorced.
So there's a lot of parents that they only focus on them. They don't care about whether the kid gets to spend time with their dad. It's like, well, I'm moving over here because that's what works for me. And the fact that you, oh, there we go. And the fact that you care enough to make sure that your kids are with their, you know, with their father. Like, I appreciate stuff like that. That's so huge. And, you know, people can say all day that, you know, it's about the kids, but if your actions show otherwise,
yeah,
you know,
no, like when we were going through our separation and divorce, like, there's no malice, there's no hatred, there's no nothing. Like, we have a great relationship. We were together for 13 years, right? Like, and being 36 years old, like, that's the majority of my entire adulthood.
Right.
And for me to be malicious or hateful or even him to be that way, it doesn't make sense. Like, we were together for 13 years. It didn't work out for whatever reasons. Like, and nothing happened, you know, we weren't good anymore. So we were like, and I'm out, you know, and we decided, like, we're not fighting about anything. We're going to split everything 100% down the middle. They stay with me for a week and then they go to his house for a week. And we swap it off back and forth like that. So there's no every other weekend parenthood for either one of us, right? Like, you're going to be just as much involved as I am. And he's blowing up my phone since we've been on here. I don't know what he's asking, but he's supposed to get the kids tomorrow. So it's probably just trying to coordinate a pickup time, right? Like, when the kids aren't with me, if they want to see me, like, I'll go to his house, or if they want to see him while he was with me, he'll come over here. Like, there is no sense in my mind for either parent to not have a full role in each other's lives to the max extent possible.
Let's go. Talk your ish. That's how it's supposed to be. I wish people can understand that. No matter what you went through in your personal relationship, once it's over, I don't even know why people sit there and think about it anymore. Like, who cares? Move on. Like, I don't know. Like, I know it's probably easier said than done for a lot of people, but especially if you have kids, like, why worry about something that's not, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I love that. I love that advice. I wish more people can hold on to that. I could speak a whole episode just talking about how people are petty about stuff, but we ain't gonna go there.
Right, for sure.
No, but I definitely appreciate all the information you're giving to the community. But before you go, we do have my little speed round where I go over a few topics. Now, you can kind of go in on it as much as possible.
Okay.
Or you can just kind of like hit on it real quick. So it's kind of on you. It's not really a speed round, but it's speed because I got like 6-7 topics that, you know, I kind of want you to hit on. That's not going with the whole flow of, like, you know, our typical interview. So you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. First thing, tattoos.
I'm clearly okay with it.
What do you think about tattoos in the military? And do you think that it changed? Well, I don't want to do that. See, what I don't want to do is I don't want to set you up to give an opinion on what you feel in the policy should be. But do you think it changes the image of somebody any less or any more? Like, when you see somebody with tattoos, do you feel indifferent or?
I personally don't. My opinion on somebody doesn't change when they have tattoos. It is an expression. I'm covered from neck down to my toes, right?
Okay.
Like I have tattoos everywhere. Have I been judged because I have tattoos? Absolutely. Do I blow their mind after we have a conversation and they're like, oh my God, you're educated? Yes, those are things that have been said. Like, a tattoo or several tattoos does not change who you are as a person. It is a form of expression. It doesn't make me any less professional. It doesn't make me any less capable. In fact, like there's a meme, right? Like people with tattoos should be hired first because of, if you can sit there for 8 to 10 hours and getting needles shoved in your arm, you can sit through a meeting because it feels the same. Right? Like, that is so true. If I can sit there for a 10-hour tattoo session, I can sit through a 3-hour meeting that makes me want to die. Like, it just, sometimes it's awful, right? A tattoo does not make anybody less professional. It doesn't make them less capable. It shouldn't be held against you for anything.
I love it. So without going too far in depth, what's the Air Force tattoo policy?
Nothing on your hands except for like a ring band, and nothing above the neck.
Everything else is a go.
Everything else is fair game.
You could be,
and I think you can't have anything like if you have like your blues on and you have your collar that you can't see anything right here. So the people that get like script right here or whatever, you have to be careful.
Damn, I'm so jealous. All right. What would you tell the future airman? Either someone that's about to join or someone that's just like, 5-6 months in. Like, what kind of advice would you give them? Something that maybe you didn't know that you know now.
Set your goals, short and long term, and develop a plan to get there. And then take time for yourself and your health. Don't take your health for granted. Don't take your fitness for granted. Make sure you take care of your fitness. And I don't know, live your life. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. You can come back.
I love it. I love it. What was your favorite rank? And why?
Oh, gosh. I don't know.
Caught you off guard, huh?
I don't know that I've had a favorite rank. I've had favorite jobs and favorite bases. But I don't know that I've had a favorite rank. I don't know.
All right. So what was your favorite billet?
So, working with the cadets at the Air Force Academy was hands down the best job I've ever had.
Nice.
And I still talk to almost every single cadet that was under my charge. I love seeing how they're progressing and growing in the Air Force or still at the academy. The class that came in while I was there are now seniors. They were freshmen. Like, we got there together, and I have a scary face. Like, RBF is a real thing. So I get there and they're all like super scared and they're like, who is this? And she looks mean and scary. And I walk in and I'm like, hey, I'm Jess and Sergeant Baldwin. RBF's a thing. Like, I am a nice person. You can come talk to me. Don't be crazy though. You know, like, we both got here together. We should both be leaving at the same time as well. So let's like take care of each other and I don't want to pick you up from jail. Cool? And
I love it.
The development conversations that you have with these people that are going to be officers in the Air Force, like, pretty legit. And then we also have sister service cadets that cross over and they'll do like a semester at the Air Force Academy and then go back to West Point or whatever. The Navy, they'll come over for a semester and go back to Annapolis, like, just to get that that crossover and experience, and just sitting down and listening to them and what they go through. Oh, I picked the right branch. That was definitely my favorite job. Like it shaped me a ton. Hopefully I gave them some things to think about and learn from.
Right.
But just what an awesome experience that was.
Nice. All right. What was your worst experience in the military?
Okay.
It could be like you had your uniform on and you were carrying a bunch of stuff. You kicked the curb while you was walking, and fell in front of anybody. It could be anything.
Worst experience for me, it was really hard. When I was an airman at Beale, I'd made E4 below the zone.
Okay.
Which means that, so I went up for a board with like the wing leadership there, and they selected me to be able to put on that rank 6 months early. Based off of the record that I had. So I got that, which then meant that I was going to test for E5 earlier than I would have normally.
Right.
And I missed that promotion by 0.016 because I had an EPR that...
You gotta explain that.
I'm sorry. A performance evaluation.
Got it.
That, we get one a year, and it wasn't as high as it should have been based off of just getting a promotion 6 months early, and going up for promotion, right? Like, so it hurt me, whether it was a valid score or not. It was my supervisor's rating on my performance. But when I went to talk to her about it, she was like nonchalant, like, you're not truly among the best. Like, you're not, you don't deserve this rating all the way over here. Like, there are people better than you. And I was like, cool, right? Like, sometimes you just need that punch in the face. Oof. Which is what it felt like. But then, like, a couple months later, I was at this party that she was at, and she was hammered and pulled me outside, and she's like, do you want to know why I gave you this rating? And I was like, sure. And she goes, because you're white and I don't like you. And people would rather go to you to get stuff done instead of me. And I'm a tech sergeant and you're an airman. And I was like, what is happening right now? What is happening right now?
That is the most, oh my, yeah. I don't know how you didn't swing. Listen, I'm not trying to promote violence, but somebody might have to catch your hands on that.
Right. I think I was so dumbfounded that I just didn't know how to respond. But I was like, well, that's your opinion. I can't change that. I'm sorry if I'm outworking you. I'm sorry that I am pale.
I'm sorry. That's straight ignorance. I don't give a damn what race you are. To hear people saying that it absolutely irritates me.
No, for sure. But if she had had bad experiences with Caucasians before and it shaped her opinion, do you, boo-boo? Like, I think her being so intoxicated probably elevated her emotions.
Brought the truth out. Nah, say it how it is. Brought the truth out.
It might have been her truth at that time. She might have just hated me, and that's fine. But
will you bring out the race card? I don't want to go too far on that, but yeah, that's corny. But yeah, I got you.
I mean, not something I would ever do, but I don't know why anybody would ever say something like that. But it hurt and it was hard to deal with. And when I went to go talk to other people about her saying that, and everybody that I talked to, it fell on deaf ears. They were like, she wouldn't say that. And I was like, cool. Like, so it is what it is. And I picked up and I moved on, and she ended up PCSing to Kunsan, Korea, which I didn't know that that's where she went until I PCSed to Kunsan, Korea, and walked in the bar, and she was like, Jessica, and I was like, no.
Yeah, nah, fam.
I'm out. Like, I have been drinking, and I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna go have a good day, be safe. I'm out.
You know, it's so funny that there's people that will say some stuff or act a certain way, and then randomly when they're around other people, they're like, oh, snap, I haven't seen you forever. I was like, yeah, let's keep it that way, you know?
Hey, you remember last week when you called me that name and you didn't like me? Like, we're still there, okay?
Yeah. All the way there. All right, let's go on to a different topic. Here we go. What advice would you give to some seniors?
Take care of your people. Get away from your desk and go talk to them. It is too easy to sit there when you get to work and you log in your computer and you're checking your emails. It's super easy to sit there and not move all day long because you're trying to get out from under all of those emails. Get off the computer and go talk to people. And then also have a quitting time, and it be your quitting time. You know, if that's 5:00 and you're done, you're done. Of course, you don't have the opportunity to turn your phone off all the time, depending on your job. You still need to be able to be reachable.
Right.
But have that time where it's like, if it's from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., I'm not answering the phone unless it's an emergency. Make sure your people know that, and use that time to sit at the table and talk to your family while you're eating dinner.
I like that. Because most people like to tell you, hey, just even when you get up there, man, you still got to grind. And it's like,
you do.
You just grind your whole life? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. But when you push away your family because you're grinding so hard.
That's what happens, though. I'm telling you.
It does. I see it all the time. And your kids and your spouse have to already sacrifice so much because you're in the military, right?
Right.
Like, they already don't get to see you. You don't always get to be there for the birthdays and the holidays and the baseball games. You don't always get to do those things. So when you can, be intentional about it and make sure like you have a quitting time at the end at some point in the day where you are dedicating some time to just your family so you can see them and make sure that you still know them.
I love that. Especially on the depot, man, one of the things that people always say when you're creating goals is leave here with your family, because the depot is one of those places you put in so many hours. You're always tired. You put in so much effort that it's easy to get obsessed with that, especially once you start to learn it, that your family gets pushed to the wayside. And it should never be that way. So a lot of people say that one of the most important thing you can leave here with is your family.
100%.
That's awesome. All right. Last thing before we get to the closing. What is the hardest part about being an advisor to officers?
Sometimes their willingness to listen and value you and your input. There's sometimes when there's some officers out there that don't know the value of the enlisted, right?
Right.
Or they know it, but they haven't experienced it yet, right? They don't know what you're going to bring to the table. So don't talk just to talk. Make sure that, when you are advising them, it's advising them. You are giving options or your opinion with some facts behind it, right? Like if you've been through a situation before that they've never seen, They're like, this is how it went down last time. These are what we did. This worked. This didn't. And this is why. You know, like, anytime that you're advising an officer, it's probably going to be a decision that they have to make, right? Like, you want to be able to give them the best information that you can for them to be able to make that decision. So don't talk just to hear your head rattle.
See, I was waiting for you to get to that part right there. And I know, you know, we're both of us are still active duty, so we kind of have to play that fine line a little bit. But that's absolutely true. And it's not a shot to officers, you know. Us seniors, we're kind of like that too, right? Our NCOs are supposed to advise us and give us like, hey, we can do this, or that. And then we've all made decisions that, you know, some of our NCOs or our junior enlisted are like advised against. And it's like, I get it, Gunny, but nah, we're going to do it this way. And then.
Yeah. And also don't stand there waiting to say, I told you so when they go against what you said, right?
Ooh, but it'd be so sweet sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes you just want to say it, but you definitely can't do it in front of other people. And if you have that relationship with them where you're like, it's weird. It's like somebody told you not to do that. I don't know who that was, but they're super smart.
I love this. This is such a great interview. I love it. It doesn't even feel like an interview. It just feels like a long conversation. All right. So let's go on and get in closing. So like I said, everybody, thank you guys so much for joining us. I want to go over our last few things for Jessica to give to the community, and then we'll go over like how you can find her and all that good stuff. And this has been such a great interview. And like I said, I truly appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know in the beginning of the interview, you had your daughter over there. She was trying to get that cameo in there, you know.
Yeah. She
trying to get in that camera. Oh, man. I love that type of stuff because it's like realism. Like, I even hesitated yesterday about doing my interview with this background because I've been doing, speaking on this platform without the background every so often because it shows where I'm at. Because people think, I need this studio. I got to spend all this money to do this. Hell no. Get your computer, get a damn webcam, and just pull up. You know what I'm saying? If this is what you want to do, you can do it. You know what I'm saying? I upgraded over time. You know, I didn't start out with this like fancy equipment or whatever. You know, that's why I like to go back to my old videos just to look at like where I was at. And you know how crappy I was of an interviewer, like stuttering, you know. You know, you just get better over time. But
I think it was great. You've done great.
I appreciate it, and like I said, it's because of people like you that bring out the natural content. You know, like I didn't have to force any of this stuff because it was just a naturally flowing type conversation. Yeah. Absolutely. So, if
the princess.
Wait, who's that princess?
You want to show me your princess dress?
Oh, I thought that was your dog's name was Princess. I was like,
oh no, the dog is Gracie. She is also needing attention.
Yeah. Hi, Gracie. No, I'm just kidding.
Go let her outside, please. Thank you.
All right. So, what are some lasting words that you would like to leave with the community, whether veteran influencers or just the active duty and veteran community in general?
You know, take care of you, take care of your family, take care of your health. It's never too early to start planning for retirement for your active duty folks and veterans. You know, there are plenty of programs out there to help with the transition from active duty to retired. And then also once you're retired and you're like, you know, I would imagine it's scary, right? Like when you've done the military for your entire adult life, like I have been in the military longer than I was out of it at this point. And the thought of retiring, while it does sound exciting, like it also terrifies the hell out of me. Like, am I going to be ready for that? Because sometimes my mouth can get away from me, and I don't know that that's going to go so well in a civilian organization, right?
Right.
So reach out and talk to people, and I'm always available for anybody to reach out, whether it's, PTSD or depression, or they just need a hype man, right? Like, I make a pretty damn good hype man.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right. So always available to be reached out to if you need anything. I work at AFPC for my Air Force folks. Assignments and all of that can get confusing as hell. So if anybody ever needs anything, I'm always there to talk.
I love it. Now, are you a social media person? Like, is there anywhere that people can follow you at?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I don't know that I know what my handle is. I think it's just my name, Jess Baldwin 84. I think, pretty sure.
So it's Jess JESS_ Baldwin 84.
Yeah. So keep it simple, right? And then I'm also Jess Baldwin on Facebook. That's about it. I am affiliated with, not necessarily affiliated, but I strongly support some other veteran organizations that are also on my Instagram that help with that transition too. Afterlife Ops, they're amazing. They're a bunch of TACP and other Air Force members sorry, my phone just hit the 20%. I gotta adjust. Sorry, and adjust my power cord.
That's all right.
The Afterlife Ops, they help with the transition assistance. And then, the veteran influencers, I follow you guys too on Instagram, doing big things for our vets out there to help take care of us. It's important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Like I said, we'll definitely talk offline because I want to add you to some, some chats and stuff where we have similar people alike, like an Air Force chat, and I got like a Navy chat, officer chat, so on and so forth. I would definitely love to have you as a recurring guest, whether it's here or on Ask a Vet.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% down. Come on.
I truly appreciate you, Senior Master Sergeant. All your experience and just for the community to be able to hear all your words of wisdom and things that you've experienced throughout your time, and not only in the military, but in life in general, and kind of speaking on some Air Force specific type things. So highly appreciated. You have been an amazing guest. And I appreciate the fact that it only took someone to just reach out for you to, to want to come on there, because there's a lot of veterans, a lot of, active duty military that, they're kind of divas, they're not always about what they show in their Instagram pictures. So
no, there's just a bunch of memes that make me laugh, and my kids mostly online.
Oh man. Well, like I said, I hope that you and your family enjoy this weekend. Who are you going for in the Super Bowl?
The Chiefs. I'm a big Mahomes fan. Like, he's Tom Brady can suck it. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no! I'm gonna have to edit that part out. No, I'm just kidding. Oh
I have
man.
such I respect his abilities, but Mahomes, he's so young and he's killing it. Like, I gotta support.
It's the underdog thing.
Like a cool, genuine dude.
Yeah, it's definitely the underdog thing. So I can definitely see it. He's about to be 2 Super Bowls in 3 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Does Brady really need 7 rings?
Yeah. It's like, do you really need Chief Master Sergeant? I don't know,
I need that paycheck, man. Single mom life is expensive.
No, I'm only messing with you. Oh man, but like I said, thank you for gracing our platform. You are always welcome back. If you ever need anything from me, the Marine side of type things or questions, anything you want to just come on here and speak about an organization that you're dealing with or anything to that matter, let me know. I'll be starting right now. We're kind of starting to do the planning for Ask a Vet season 2. Probably over the next couple of weeks, hopefully finalizing some things, finalizing guests, but I would definitely love to have you on again.
For sure. Anytime.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you, Jessica. You have a wonderful day, and thank you for this amazing interview.
Oh, thanks. Have a good one.
Absolutely. You too.